Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile. In this video, I'm going to be doing a deck profile over one of the most interesting decks I have been using in recent time. This is the new Dark Irregular deck, the Brufas build. This deck is very unique in how it plays if you know how to play it right. It's almost like playing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's the only deck that I've played in Cardfight Vanguard that made me think that it feels kind of like playing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck with all the search power that this deck has. To build its soul for the specific variants. So this is a variant slash Brufas deck. It's very fun. I'm surprised that way I don't see it enough in my area. And you don't really see Dark Irregulars topping anywhere. I don't know why, because honestly this deck I think is one of the really good ones. The only bad matchup is probably Link Joker and Kagero. Against this deck, they can probably beat this deck pretty easily, I would say. But some of the Excel decks too can also, like Silverthorn, can give this deck a run for its money. But other than that, this deck has a very good win condition if it's able to pull it off. So let's get right into it. For starters, we're running, of course, the main Vanguard, Demonic Deep, Phantasm Emperor, Brufas. So I really like this guy a lot. He has a lot of critical pressure. He has a lot of opponent retiring. And the cool thing is, the really good thing about Dark Irregulars is what I've found is they have a lot of retire power where you get to choose the rear guard. So, which, in my opinion, is like the way Shadow Paladins used to be, but now Shadow Paladins are kind of more like Narukami in their retire power. Whereas these guys are like more like Kagero, because you get to select a lot of the cards that you get to retire. So the nice about him is he absorbs one of the opponent's rear guards. So you retire one of the opponent's rear guards, and then he gains their attack power and they're critical until the end of that battle. And that's on the only condition to do that is to have 2 or more grade 3 cards. And the way this deck soul charges and the way he can select any card and put multiple copies of it into the soul can fulfill that condition so easily. And then we run another specific card in here that makes the deck almost like unstoppable if you can pull it off that turn. We'll get to him later. The other grade 3 that I chose to go with is Master of Fifth Element. Now, you could run any other grade 3, like Demon Eater might be a decent one to go with, and because of their guard restriction and stuff like that. But I wanted to go all out with Master of Fifth Element, because he's basically your finisher. And the reason why we run 4 of him and not like 2 of him and 2 Demon Eater or 1 of him and some other thing is because this deck requires you to have 4 copies of every other card in the deck, basically. Otherwise, the deck will not work consistently. So for max consistency, and I'm all about consistency because that's how I build my decks. Those who've been watching my channel for a while, you know that's how the majority of these decks are built. Playing 4 of him or 4 any other grade 3 doesn't really matter as long as it fits with the deck somewhat. Would be really good. So you play him as a finisher if they somehow survive. They play with Brufas and the grade 2. And then they basically lose. I mean, unless they 6 damage heal or double heal out, I mean, there's really no coming back from that play. For grade 2s, I'm running 4 Emblem Master. He is a great addition to this deck because all you gotta do is have 7 or more cards in Soul, and that's very easy to do in this deck. And then he is permanently 1400. Like, he's 1400 even on the opponent's turn. So it's hard for them to run over him. So Excel decks will have a hard time running over him. And on top of that, he's a permanent 10k shield when you've got 7 or more souls. So I really like his continuous skill. He's also extremely good. Vanguard or Rearguard Circle when placed, counterblast 1, search your deck, and drop zone for up to a total of 3 cards with the same card name of one of your units. So you can select him if he's the only thing on the field. Then you put them in the soul, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. So a very good card. Essential to run 4 of him. I can't recommend him enough. Next, we have a variant. So I am running the variant. This is the variant build, and I like the variants a lot. They're a very good addition to Dark Irregulars. So, Shutram, or Shut Arm, variant's Shut Arm. He has a rearguard effect. When he attacks, he becomes 15k base. And then plus, if you have him on a Protect 2 circle, he is 20. So he's very good. And then he has Counterblast 1, choose one of the opponents. So basically, if you've got 2 or more variants are based off of having like 2 or 3 of them in the soul, 2 or more in the soul. So when you've got 2 of him in the soul and you got 1 or 2 on the field, the 2 on the field can retire the opponent's rear guards. Basically, all he has to do is attack, and then if you've got 2 in the soul, you can Counterblast 1. You get to choose one of the opponent's rear guards and retire. That is just insane. And then the last grade 2 is variants Hard Leg. Now this guy is the card I was alluding to earlier when I said that there's an insane win condition with his deck, and I've been able to pull it off in a lot of matches, unless the match ends early. But yeah, Brufas plus this guy basically is an auto lose to the opponent, auto win to you. It's very hard for the opponent to come back if you were able to pull off this combo. Basically, when he's placed, if your soul has 3 or more cards with 3 different names, so basically you've got to have like 3 different cards and 3 copies of each of them in the soul. So that's a total of 9 soul right there. And it's not too hard to do because of Brufas' search ability, and there's other variants that help that as well. And Emblem Master and things like that also help add to the consistency of pulling off this condition. But basically, if that condition is met when you place this card in a circle, until the end of the turn, when the opponent would call from hand to the Guardian Circle, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. So they cannot like 1 card block you. They can't guard for cheap. They can't Sentinel block with just the Sentinel. They have to play the Sentinel plus like 2 other cards from the hand. And it must be from the hand. They can't just like throw the Sentinel and throw their 2 Interceptors and say no pass. Like, nah, that's not how it works. So, pretty broken, near broken, but the condition takes a while to pull off. It's late game, so that's why I would consider it fair. But definitely, you got to run 4 of everything for max consistency to get those triple copies in the soul for 3 different cards. For grade 1s, I'm running 4 Yellow Bolt. Very good early game, very good at poking at opponents' rear guards as well. And he gets a soul charge, so very good. Variants, Killer Tail. She's one of the key variants that basically I consider her like the engine of the deck in a way, along with Emblem Master, because you can rest her once per turn to put a card from your damage zone or drop zone into the soul. So it's kind of like Angel Feathers and Genesis in a way, where it can cycle stuff out of the damage, and then if you've got 3 of her in the soul, then you can countercharge 1 and stand her back up to use her as a booster. So very, very good card, but expensive card in the sense that you'll have 3 of her in the soul to be able to do that for free. So it is a fair skill. Some people say that when they play against this, they're like, this card is broken. Not really, because when you think about it, you're only able to use 1 on the field at a time, because if you want to do the restand. Otherwise, it still works to do the normal skill, the rest skill. And then I'm running 4 variants Mega Wing. This thing is just excellent in the deck because it's a variant, so you get multiple copies of it. You just need 2 or more of it in the soul, and then she is permanently plus 10,000. So she's a permanent 17k attacker booster. And also she has the resist effect when that's active, so she can't be retired by card effects. It's like Shadow Paladin can't retire her, Kagero, no one can retire her basically. So very good. And then I am running 1 Dimension Creeper. Now this, just because I had to do 444, so we got 1. I'm running 13 grade 1s because I'm running a 4th of my 3rd grade 2 for consistency. So 1 Dimension Creeper just as an extra tech just to help the deck out. He's a good card. The trigger lineup, it's the standard 4 Sentinel draws, 8 critical, and 4 heal. And the starter is Devil in Shadow, who used to be the grade 3 searcher back in like OG Vanguard. So I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. The deck is very, very fun. I encourage you guys to try out Dark Irregulars because I feel like they're not played enough, and they're a very cool clan, very technical, and it's very good for tech. I would say it's probably one of the most fun ones to play right now in the current meta. So I hope you guys enjoyed that deck profile, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.